Hi, Mr. John.
Yes, from
How are
Rasan?
you? Yes, sir.
All right, I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
All right. So I got cell phone chargers back there.
Oh,
one.
thank you so much.
You're very welcome. All right, looks like we're heading to Oak Lawn area.
Yeah, is that Oakland? Oh my gosh.
Almost, yeah.
Okay. My friend just asked me to come babysit her dog.
Oh my gosh.
And I have never been, I think it was my second time going there.
Okay. Well, that's nice of you for babysitting her dog.
Oh, I know it's right off, is it right off 85th, right?
Yeah. That's down there, down south.
Oh, that's Oakland? I didn't realize
Yeah.
that.
I used to actually live like right by there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was in Hometown, which is like this little, like 2-block section that's surrounded by Oak Lawn.
Oh, wow.
It's so funny. Yeah, most people that live in Oak Lawn don't even know.
Yeah, definitely not my knowledge.
Do you watch dogs? Is that something you do regularly?
Oh no, I'm a flight attendant.
A flight attendant?
Yeah, I just got back this morning after
Yeah.
working a red eye, and then she has an emergency, so she asked if I could just come quick and.
Sure.
So I said, of course.
Oh, well, that's so nice of you. Dang, I was hoping you were a dog sitter.
No.
I live over here a couple blocks away.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm heading out at the end of July, and I'm like, I need my dog to go somewhere.
Yeah, I would. Hey, I love dogs.
Really?
I mean, but with my job, I just can't have one because I'm never like really here.
Sure.
So,
yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
It's really hard because all my my relatives all have dogs, and I love them. I just go visit, then I cry because I want a dog so bad.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, because they're very needy.
Yeah,
especially if you've got a schedule where you'll sleep somewhere, in a whole new city.
Yes.
It just won't work unless you have like a partner at home.
Yeah, I definitely don't. So it's like,
Sounds like you're adamantly single, or
no, definitely not that. I think what it is I hate to say it. I mean, I was in a relationship years ago, but the problem is with this career, I think there's a lot of insecurities built with it, and there's a stigma with certain careers. Like when I was in college, I had no issues, because you're around each other and all that stuff.
Right.
But as a flight attendant, I think a lot of people have misconceptions. Whether you're a flight attendant, pilot, there's just certain jobs that they just think I hate to say, you're whoring around, and that's what they all assume.
Right. Oh, yeah. And you're right. With the job.
At first everyone thinks it's like, oh, that's super cool, and I think when they see that I'm only home maybe 3 or 4 times a month or 5 times a month, but I usually I hate to say, but I thought that would be a good thing because it builds your relationship. You're not around each other 24/7.
Sure, it's almost like a long distance thing.
Yeah,
you get that.
And it's not like I'm not communicating and all of that stuff, but I don't know. It's bizarre.
No, it can be hard. Yeah, and you had a great point where some people can have some insecurity.
They really do, especially in this career.
Sure.
But a lot of the people a lot of my friends, a lot of people I know within this industry, they date only within the industry because there's a better understanding to it.
Sure.
Or they're married to it, or they're with partners who are, within that. But I refuse to do that just because I would never date someone within the same. No way, that's not happening.
Do you feel like it's because of the travel, or what are your reasons for not wanting to date someone?
No, because I've also seen like some of my friends who have been with their partners within the same company, and then they break up, and then you're around them.
Oh, sure.
And it's awkward. It becomes such an awkward situation.
Yeah, that's what they say on the date where you work. That makes sense.
And then especially if you have to work with them again, it becomes such a freaking idiotic thing. And and I've seen it. That's the only reason why. Like there are a few, and I'm not just saying like LGBTQ or anything like that. Even straight couples and husband and wives divorcing, and then suddenly they're all mad at each other, and so I would never date anyone within the city where I work. That's not happening. That's too much. So.
No, I totally get it. You know what's interesting about that is that the statistics for marriage and cheating, infidelity, all that stuff across all genders and relationship types, sexual orientations, it's all the same.
It tends to be, which is, sad.
But see, and you're right, it's sad, but it's like, to me, I took a while to get to it, but it's like, it's human nature.
Yeah, that is true. That is
there's about 7.9 billion humans on planet Earth. Do you know how many times a couple has to start procreating. It's literally every 7 seconds, or no, every second, 7 per second.
Wow.
Yeah, all day, all day, in order to keep just the number that we're at now, just the number that we're at. So people hook up. That's what they do.
Yeah, that is true.
It's just a part of nature.
But I feel, my philosophy. I'm not gonna, I don't know if I'm old school or whatever you want to call it.
Sure.
But I'm more of this type, like, hey, if you want to, fine, but then don't get involved with someone. Absolutely. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm strictly a person, like, if I'm involved, that's it. Then there's I'm not going around and hopping around, and I don't expect that from that person. You know, if I'm loyal or whatever you want to call it. But again, it is truly human nature.
Yeah. No, but I think that there's something to it. I've often said, in relationships, I'm married now, but I tell people I'm a lot more monogamous than I want to be. Yeah. Like, I find when I'm in a relationship, like, I'm all for, hey, have a throuple, quadruple, whatever you want to do. People do whatever they do. But for me, I'm like, I just want that one person. It's just where my brain goes.
Exactly.
It's just how I operate. Yeah. But some people, you're right, they're a lot more.
I mean, again, I'm not, like, saying, oh, don't have your fun and whatever else. What I am saying is then don't be with someone that you know is not that type. Exactly. Or if that's how you want to live your life or enjoy it till you're ready to settle, then do what you got to do. You know?
For sure.
But,
right?
And
that's where it's unfair.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, because you're right. Some partners want someone that's like that, but if they have a partner that's going behind their back and all that stuff, it's unfortunate.
It's a little... Because my partner did that, and that is where I was like, wow, okay, you knew, like, the thing is, my career, you knew everything. I'm not running around hopping from here and hopping from there.
Sure. But they were hopping around when
he did, and it was just a little too, And the crazy part is the person called me, and that really blew my mind, and I was like, okay.
They called you? How did that go?
Because my partner was on my phone benefits, like, because the family plan or sharing plan, whatever you call it.
Yeah.
But while he was with that other person, they also supposedly went through his phone.
Of course.
And they didn't know he was with me, and I didn't know he was with someone else.
Of course not. Yeah.
And then when they called me, they were just like, hey, and they were very nice. They weren't like what you would think, like, screaming at me or something. Sure,
who's this? What are you doing?
They were actually very professional about it and asked me, hey, do you know so-and-so? And I'm like, yeah, we're partners. We've been together 2 years. Then I couldn't find out he's been with that person for over a year and something.
Oh, wow. So they like the double relationship.
Yeah. So I was like, oh, that's great. Okay.
Damn.
So.
Well, at least I'm going to say it's better to find out they were with one person than 10 people,
that's true.
Then you got to worry about STI.
That's where, that's where, I mean, I'm educated enough to know certain things, but it still freaked me out that where... I went to my doctor. I was like, "Oh, you are giving me every test under the sun. Absolutely. I do not care."
Yeah.
And my doctor's like, "For son, what is blah blah blah?" And I was like, "Well, because he cheated, and I don't know, So, that's my fear too, because I hate to say, being a person of LGBTQ, whatever you want to say, it's already hard to be who I am, let alone. Absolutely. I cannot imagine getting something and then having to tell people, inclusive of not only am I gay, now I have this. And especially, and I think also depending on the community you're from. I'm Indian,
I was going to say, you got person of color.
It's so difficult. Asian culture.
Absolutely.
It's one of the hardest things to say and do and, come out. Because our culture is so strict with the arranged marriages and all this other nonsense. But luckily, my parents were very accepting when I came out.
Oh, that's great.
My parents at least, because they're educated. They're not like backward thinking here. They're not saying that educated parents don't get mad at their own kids for all this. But I think my mom, when I told her, she was like, I knew. My dad, on the other hand, he was a little bit more, he wasn't jumping up and down for joy when I came out.
Sure.
He thought it was a phase. So I was like, really, Dad? This is not a phase, my goodness. Because I came out in high school, and then And then in college, I came out again to just confirm it to them.
Right.
More to him than anyone.
Sure, just to update it.
Yeah, because he was literally trying to push the arranged marriage thing with me. And I was like, are you kidding me, Dad? Come on. Like, what am I going to do with someone? You know? But eventually it became, he's okay. But he's not like, we don't sit around we don't have a round table conference about all this. But
sure, but at least they were understanding.
Yeah.
It wasn't pressure.
Yeah.
So
it wasn't.
That's good. That's really good. I can, like you said, in East Asian cultures, there's a lot. It could be. Really
it's very much.
Yeah.
And the other thing, I think what made it a little bit more easier for him to accept was when I actually spoke to him and I told him, look, Dad, I understand tradition. I understand all of that, okay? Mm-hmm. But I also told him, what would you have rather me do? Would you rather me go through an arranged marriage, destroy this lady's life, knowing that nothing's going to happen, and then I divorce, and then who are they going to blame? Regardless, they are going to blame her. Because the culture is that way. Everything is blaming the female, and it's her fault, she did something. So, or would you have rather me just be honest and not destroy someone's life?
Absolutely.
So, and that's how I explained it. I said, I'd rather be honest regardless. I'm not going to, destroy someone's life because society expects me to do it this way or my family expects it. And,
Yeah.
I mean, that's just, it's so uncalled for.
Absolutely. They say you can't fit a square peg into a round hole.
Exactly.
Right? And that's it. You just have that. So, if you don't mind me asking, how long did you know
that I was gay?
Yeah,
when I was 10 years old.
When you were 10.
Oh, I knew it, but I just didn't know. Of course, at 10, I'm not thinking the term gay.
Sure.
I just knew I was not attracted to women. I was more attracted to, like, the boys in my class,
Sure.
But, at 10, you're not thinking, what is it? You just feel a feeling.
Absolutely.
And then, as I grew, then I obviously knew. I was like, okay, yeah.
Sure. And it makes sense. My daughter's she's 11. No, I'm going to be 11.
Okay.
And her friends, she says, she has some friends that, like, one of her friends is like, I don't like boys. I just don't like them. And it's like, okay. And it seems like that's around when you start hormones, you start finding what your attraction is. It's just kind
it's more of an attraction. I think a lot of people don't, like, so this is going to sound like, so I did a research paper when I was in college for my thesis. I did a research on LGBTQ because even then I was still, even though I was out, I wasn't hiding or anything.
Sure.
I was still doubting myself. Like, is this for real? Is this because
trying to understand it?
What am I not understanding here?
Yeah.
And I interviewed over 1,000 LGBTQ people, individuals, and all of us came to the same conclusions that we all knew it from from childhood.
Yeah.
A lot, of course, like you're suppressing it, you're not sure, but it wasn't. There's a misconception in society that, and pardon my language, but they think it's all about sex. It's not sex. You're not going and laying down with a guy and a girl and then figuring out if you're bi or gay or whatever else.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's just like any heterosexual relationship. It's where it's an attraction. It's a feeling
it's
first.
Love. It's desire. Wanting to be
before anything.
Absolutely.
I think that's where there's a big misconception.
Right.
And I mean, don't get me wrong. You do have some individuals who like both parties and or genders and all of that.
Yeah.
But a majority of it, we all know, from a very young age.
Right.
It's just a feeling. You're not categorizing that feeling until you're older and you're understanding what this feeling is.
Yeah.
So, and I did a whole big paper on it. I was like, okay, this is,
What was the idea for the thesis? What were you?
So when I was writing my paper, the whole thing was to navigate away from the concept of people assuming it has to do with sex.
Sure.
Because that's where I kept hearing a lot of things, it's all about sex. No, it's not. It's not about sex.
Right, absolutely.
It's just like, does that play a role eventually? Yeah, of course.
Right.
But that is not the guiding force of any of this.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I thought, okay, let me just start interviewing people, and I went to Howard Brown Health Center and I started interviewing all the lesbians and gay guys, and I was like, hey, so I was like, okay, there you go.
That makes sense. Yeah, and it makes a lot of sense. It's about love. It's about wanting to be with someone. It's about the connection that you.
That's what a lot of it is.
Yeah, and I agree. It's not about sex at all. Absolutely.
I think also the fact that it's unfortunately because a lot of people who are not coming out also is because of the pressure again of family, society. What are others going to think? Mm-hmm. It's that fear as well.
Oh yeah.
So the whole thing was based on because I have friends, okay, like who, they were disowned by family members, or a couple of my friends who actually got married and knowing that they were not interested.
Sure.
And then eventually, what did that lead to? Divorce and everything else.
Yeah.
I also had a friend of mine, her husband, he's gay. And the whole thing, it was a messy divorce for her because she was so heartbroken.
Sure.
And that's where I feel like it's not fair, just when I say not fair, I mean the family's doing all of this, or other people pressurizing people to just be so closeted.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I'm not saying go around parade yourself and act idiotic as well, because there are certain things, especially, being in this community, there are a lot of things I disagree with. Just because I'm gay does not mean I agree with every single freaking thing out there. I don't. Sure. Like the whole pronoun and all that. It's becoming so stupid to me, at least,
Sure,
I honestly find that so stupid at this point. And it's just you're adding too much to all of this. Whereas back in the day, it was either, okay, you're gay, you're straight, you're bi. One of these. Let's keep it simple,
Sure.
All this adding it more and more and complicating things and making others look at us even more stranger now because you're adding so many things and layers to this. It's just idiotic,
Yeah. I think people identify with how they identify just because, when it's a binary like it was, man, woman, like it was, for some people, they just don't feel that way. They don't feel whatever gender they're presenting. So to me, I say, okay, fine. There are a lot of pronouns out there. I'm sure I'm never going to learn them all.
Oh, even I don't even.
Nowadays I just go, I'm just not going to gender anyone.
Yeah.
I don't say anyone's a Mr. Mrs.
Yeah.
I just go, they're them and they, and that's it.
But it threw me off, I'm not going to lie, because when I didn't even know about it until I went to see my doctor for some reason.
Right.
And my doctor's been my doctor since my freaking first year of college till now, okay?
Okay.
And he came in and said, hey, what's your pronoun? I was like, what are you talking about? It threw me off so bad. And I was like, did I say something wrong?
Sure.
Was there some grammar mistake that I was not understanding here? And then he explained it to me. And then I asked my sister and my brother, because my brother is a doctor, and my sister, she's a scientist here at Northwestern.
Okay.
So I emailed both of those people. I asked them, I was like, what is this?
What is that about?
They're like, in all our emails now, we have to do this and do that, and we have to ask. And I was like, wow. Because I honestly did not know. I was like, wow, where am I? Because I guess I don't pay attention so much. Because normally I'm just flying. I get home, I'm so tired. I just want to go to sleep. I don't look at too much.
Yeah, you're in the sky. You're not.
Yeah, I'm like literally never. I don't watch the news most of the time.
Oh, that's good.
Because I hate, just being miserable all day long.
Smart. Yeah, no, you're not even on this planet.
No, I literally. You would think I'm literally just under a rock half the time.
Oh, that makes sense. Sure, and I could see that.
Because already I'm dealing with people all day long, all day. And I love it. Don't get me wrong. I love my job. That's good. One thing I actually enjoy.
Yeah.
But the simple fact is when I'm out of it, I don't want to hear negative stuff. I just want to go chill, sleep, whatever else.
That makes sense. So that it kind of came out of nowhere all of a sudden.
Yeah. For me, it did. Apparently, it was starting up. And I think, I don't know where it even started. I think it actually started in Hollywood. Some famous actress started saying, well, I'm not this or I'm not that. That's where all this started, apparently.
Interesting.
I don't remember, actually.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember, and I don't want to. Elliot Page. I remember.
Was it Elliot Page?
I think, right, and then when they were a she.
Okay.
Right, and started transitioning, and then started saying I identify. If I'm not wrong.
Wasn't it? Oh my God, what is her name? I thought it was Oh my God, what is her name? Why am I going?
Or the musician?
Yes, the one with the dark hair. Oh, yeah. That doesn't even.
And you know what? Unfortunately, I've got the same problem. I know exactly who you're talking about.
Oh my God, what is her name?
She has like high cheekbones.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh gosh.
And she was either big into drugs and drinking.
Yes. Yeah.
But she's a very good singer, very talented.
Yeah.
Demi
Moore. Yeah, you called it. All right, you did it right. Not Demi Moore. Demi Lovato.
Yes, her.
Demi Lovato.
I think she was the one who first came out publicly saying something.
Sure. Yeah, and she came out as like non-gender.
I'm not. Yes.
Or something like that. Sure. And that's true. And that kind of started that.
That's where I think, because I didn't even bother looking it up. I was like, oh God, I don't want to know.
I think at the end of the day, and you mentioned your family is like in medicine, right?
Yes.
Right. So it's like they can kind of look at, there's sexual gender, right?
Yes.
Sex, and that's a binary thing in order to make reproduction. But then there's like, well, who do I feel like? What do I feel like as a person?
Sure.
How do I identify? Because it's like a lot of people, obviously, as a heterosexual male, I get a lot of expectations.
Yes.
People look at me and they're like, "Oh, you must be a football player."
Yes.
I'm an artist. I'm a comedian. I'm a musician.
Wow.
I don't touch these things, right? But that's the assumptions people make about me. And it's like, so I could understand that someone says I feel a different way than I'm perceived.
True.
And I think getting to know someone, it helps to say, okay, and I think, Demi Lovato gave people a space to say, I don't feel like I'm one or this, or this or that. And I think we need that. At the end of the day, again, 7.9 billion humans.
That is true.
There's got to be some complexity. I was reading somewhere, and this is where, like, obviously, I get into arguments with the people that want to be narrow-minded about LGBTQ things, that want to be about gender, and they say, oh, there's a genome, there's an XX and an XY. That's it. And I'm like, you know so little about science, because there's a single fungi, there's a single mushroom that has like 54,000 different gender expressions.
Yes.
Okay, so it's like, it's far more complex than a left or right binary, and that's people are that level of complexity.
I agree, because I'm actually guilty of that. I just spoke to you saying, I wish it was simple, because I think why I think that way too is not because I don't respect everyone else's viewpoints. I think it's seeing the hatred coming towards all of us when it's so complicated.
Right.
And you're hearing this more and more and more.
Yeah.
I think because like I said, I'm guilty. I'm judgmental here, sitting here and saying, well, especially me being a gay person, I'm judging the other people sitting here and like, but it's not judging them on the basis of saying, hey, that's you. It's not that. I get more upset because of the incoming hatred from others when I'm seeing this and hearing this continuously.
Yeah, and that's kind of what you had said. You're like, there's a lot. We don't want to add more to it. And I always say, are you familiar with, in politics, the Overton window is what it's called, where they say, if you something could be extreme until like, they have the left or the right, right? Yes. And it's like something, we're pulled so far to the right now that what's left is what's moderate, what was in between. You're right. And to me, I think that's kind of it with the sexuality spectrum, right? We've just now had about 60 years of open sexuality in America to finally say, okay, fine, let's start looking at genders. Let's start looking at to pull the window. So now you can be gay or straight. Most people are going to say, I don't really care.
Yeah.
In America, like, that's
at least here, of course.
No big deal, exactly. So I think it's just pulling that window more towards this normalcy. And I do think that's required. I think that level of complexity just exists in humans anyways. So,
and I do hope it does simmer to the point where, everyone will be okay with it. Mm-hmm. Where then you're not afraid and you're not seeing all this hatred or judgmental stuff and whatever else.
I think we'll get there. I just think as long as we just keep trying to say, well, let's make room for everyone.
Everyone,
At the end of the day, everyone's going to fit in, and that's all. But like you said, there is a lot of hate. There is a lot of vitriol. I talked to my daughter about it. In 70% of the countries in the world have laws against homosexuality.
Oh my God, yes.
And I'm just like, and to me, that's honestly what I love about Edgewater. I moved here from Anderson.
Yes.
And I'm like, I see every type of couple from everywhere around the world. Yes. On a nice day when it's warm outside. Summer was 2 days ago. It's done now. But you see every couple walking by the street holding hands.
Yes.
And I love that. I love that representation. I love that diversity. That's why I love grocery shopping. I go to all these Whole Foods, and I'm just like, there's a whole world here. And I love that about this place.
Well, and you know what's really strange? So I go to India quite often, and you know, in my country, it's very, how can I say? I find my people a little hypocritical when it comes to this whole the LGBTQ issues.
Sure.
Because they're all about, oh my God, don't talk about it, hush, hush. We can't even, you know, it's illegal, it's this, it's that, and everything under the sun.
Right.
However, the most number of gay people in the world is in India.
Whoa.
Which makes me even more angrier because every time I'm in India visiting or anything, like, guys will talk to me because when they hear me speak English and I'm like at a Starbucks or at some local coffee shop ordering coffee or whatever, they're like, oh, you know, blah, blah, blah. And obviously, again, I don't hide who I am. And then they'll talk to me. But these are the same people who will be like, hush, hush, let's, you know.
Sure.
But, hey, let's go, you know, to my home. And I don't do that, especially, you know, all these married men in India who are the ones. Because, again.
Right, yeah, they'll trash you in public and then try and hook up with you in private.
But, and the sad part of it is because they're suppressing who they are. Exactly. It's not because of literally hating the gender or whatever, you know, thing.
Right, it's that they have it all in their mind. It's that what they feel is
wrong. Because they're scared again. And again, you're in a country where it's not like you could just run away to a developed country and all of that stuff, you know.
That's very true.
So, I mean, it's really, like, I have a cousin, he's right now getting married. His arranged marriage is, they just finalized his arranged marriage. And I know he's gay. Like, from childhood, I knew it. When I used to visit him in India, all his mannerisms is exactly the way I was growing up.
Sure, okay.
And I talk to him all the time. My entire family in India, they all know I'm gay, so it's not like some big secret here.
Yeah.
And I keep talking to him and trying to make him comfortable about, hey, at least, you know, if you need me to talk to you or if you need someone to talk to about this, you know I'm here. But the sad part is, it's not like he can come to America because, you know, my sister, brother, and I, we were born here. It's a huge difference because immigration is very different from there to here. And even to get a tourist visa, it's ridiculously hard from these countries. And I just feel so bad for him because I know he's, you know, hiding or whatever, suppressing it.
Yeah, and trying to conform and trying to fit, and it's like you can only wear a mask for so long.
And I don't know what he's gonna do, but they had just told me last week that his arranged marriage has been finalized, and I'm like, great. This is gonna.
That's so unfortunate.
It's unfortunate for him. It's gonna be unfortunate for her, and just the whole 9 yards.
And that's, unfortunately, that's the story. That's going to have to be the story it sounds like until India gets it figured out and says, oh, hey, we don't have to have
We don't have to hide. But, you know, the problem, too, again, is the fact that, you know, India is now the most populated country on the planet, number one. Number two, it's only the cities, you know, they're a little bit more acceptable. You still have all the outside villages and backward areas where even the most, you know, basic things are not available. So let alone having this type of a mentality, open-mindedness of what this is.
Sure. Yeah, no, 100%. It's not as evolved. In the cities, they're like, whatever, we know, we don't
They don't care.
Yeah, my wife, she lives in Mexico, and it's the same thing. With immigration, it's a thing, and then the same Catholic, here's how you're supposed to act and behave. You know, and it's unfortunate, but it's like, well, if you look at Catholicism and all the sexual issues that they had with children and all that stuff, India actually has a lot of the same thing too. And it's like, okay, so like maybe if they let people be homosexuals, you would maybe
be who they are.
Yeah, you'd probably reduce the population, and then you probably have to start dealing with the actual
start
protecting actual kids from actual perpetrators, actual people that are doing things wrong, you know? And it's just the misappropriation of our thought process.
That's what it is.
But it's all just holdovers. It's all just a holdover. And the unfortunate problem is that it takes hundreds of years for these things to go away.
My gosh, yes.
That, and that's really it. It's like
it's definitely going to take more and more time.
Yeah. More people, but the more people like yourself that are out that are saying this is who I am, this is how I want to be. It just takes more of that until eventually the tipping point comes and it just overstays.
And everyone's like, okay with it, hopefully.
Yeah, and that's really it. But it's like, how long does that take? And meanwhile, you have to live a life that time. Because if it's not getting fixed in India in 60 years, well, that's
oh my gosh,
right. Your whole
definitely
life. Yeah, and who knows? We don't know when the law will repeal. We don't know when it'll happen. When it'll get fixed. When it'll get changed. So it's like that's. Meanwhile, the people that are there have to try and make a life.
True.
Do something in some way.
And then it boils down to, again, unfortunately, not saying education is paramount in it, but it does play a role. Yeah. So you also have that where you don't have a lot of people who are highly educated, and then on top of that, very religious and all of the 9 yards of this whole thing. So, it is what it is.
Yeah, it's that social pressure, it's that religious pressure, and it's all that trying to conform. At the end of the day, and this is the real reason, is like nobody knows what we're doing or why we're here. That's it. And so we're trying to make rules and trying to make laws and trying to get it right and say, well, let's do this because of that. Let's do this. Let's live because we're trying to survive as people. And it's like, and then it ends up, you have all this legislation and paperwork that just doesn't make sense. And law is always behind society.
True.
It's by design. That society is what changes it.
True.
And it's just in a lot of places, it's just waiting to catch up. It's just waiting. But it's like, when did we have homosexuality be okay? When was it something that was acceptable in Western culture? It took up until the last 70 years, 60 years.
Until be more comfortable with it. Because it existed. It was just, obviously it's just the comfort level of saying, okay, I'm this or I'm that and all of this. But it's also just like, it's just like wars and all. I just don't understand it, honestly. I don't care what people believe in when it comes to religion, okay?
Sure.
Hindu, Muslim, Christian, whatever.
Yeah.
My thought process on that in itself is also another big thing where I'm like, okay, we don't know. Let's be real here.
Yeah.
Until we're there, we don't know what is going to happen after we're gone.
Absolutely.
What the hell? People are just blindly listening to some powerful person supposedly, and then saying, "Oh, let's just go fight over this and fight and kill and do all this other nonsense."
Oh yeah.
And let's be real here. Who and what do we really know?
Oh, right.
Because I've had friends, relatives, all pass away, and all of different religions. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I have literally told them, "Hey, when you pass away, come back and tell me what's on the other side."
Right.
Do you think one person has ever came back and at least informed me something?
Oh,
no.
For sure. No, for sure.
So all this fighting over stupidity. We have one life to live. Let's be peaceful and stop the hate. But I just don't understand what people think when they. Oh, obviously they're not thinking. But
right.
It blows my mind that people can sit here and say, "Okay, I'm gonna go die over this."
Right. Because this is what I believe.
Yeah, I believe. You don't believe in peace and harmony and happiness?
Because that's the rule in most religions. That's actually what they say to do. And
it's so crazy.
No, 100%. I 100% agree. Yeah, and it's if you look at a lot of people that practice religions, right? They don't actually read their books.
No.
I've read the Quran, I've read the Bible, I've read the Torah. Like, if you read these things, you're like, oh, these were people that were very obviously on drugs. All these people were on drugs.
Yes.
They took something, they didn't know what it was, and they spoke to God. I've done that too, but I knew that I was on drugs when I did it. So I understand that I wasn't talking to God. That's all. But it's like they obviously didn't know that. They made a whole religion about it. They started pushing people towards it.
Because religion, first of all, religion was not supposed to, regardless, religion is not supposed to be something where you're indoctrinating every single person. Yeah. It was supposed to be a means for you to just have some peace and concentrate and say, hey, at least I'm talking to someone. It was supposed to be an individual thing, not a whole big gangbang of, hey, let's do this and do that and all this other nonsense that they're doing nowadays.
Absolutely. No, you're absolutely
It's just,
right.
it blows my mind, the hatred. How, as a human being, how could you hate, like,
right?
I just don't even understand it. I was just like, my goodness.
Yeah. And because that's the thing. When you understand, if you actually have the actual understanding of it, the same DNA sequence.
Yes.
For all humans, it's the same DNA sequence all around the world. Every single human.
Yes.
So there's no difference. It's all the same makeup. It's just what genes are expressed and what aren't, and that's all it is. That's all. That's what makes all the difference. That's why our hair is different.
Yes.
And we're a different height, and that's it. But it's the same DNA. We're all the same.
Same.
So we can accept that and look at it and go, hey, this is just a cool artistic expression of that individuality and that DNA, and that can be a cool thing. I see you, and go ahead and mark
there you go.
And that's it. But people say, no, it's got to be the way
it's definitely this.
Gotta be this.
Oh my God. It's just...
Yeah. And it's like, for what? For how?
You're just gonna go sacrifice your life on some blind belief and then go fight on.
Right.
Just and you know, the other part of it too is the fact that, okay, you're fighting and all these people are the leaders and all of this and that. Are they taking any of this with them? No. Absolutely not. So what is the purpose of all of this? What are you trying to prove here? I just...
And that was a thought I had, where it was like all these people have these beliefs, they do all this stuff in life for an eternity, but we already are in eternity.
Thank you.
This is it. The space
this is
infinite. Universe is infinite. We're here. We're here now. This is the heaven that we could be creating,
exactly.
But we're not. And it's, you just have that viewpoint. And I think we'll get there. But like I said, it's
going to take forever.
It's going to take forever. We have to get rid of all that old stuff. We have to get rid of all those old ideas and let them go and understand we don't know anything. Do you know how many, because of that new, the new telescope that they just sent out, the James Webb telescope, do you know how many galaxies we've observed
I
now?
did not.
224 trillion.
Wow.
Each one full of hundreds of billions, if not trillions, of stars.
I did not.
And each one of those stars surrounded by planets.
Wow.
The universe is so much bigger than we realize. So much bigger than we can wrap our head around. But we're over here fighting over some afterlife, some idea, and it's like, and they're like, well, what if it is that? What if in all this? I'm like, it's not. It's not, because life is so much more complex and weird. The more we understand, the more strange it is. If we can wrap our mind around it 2,000 years ago, that's how we know it's not right.
True.
That's how we know it's not the right thing, because we can't. We're not gonna understand it. And like you said, until we're there. Until we're there. Until we die. Until we get to.
Until we're there, then we would know the truth. Exactly. But we're blindly just following someone's writing or someone saying so, and there you go.
Right, exactly. And they wrote it on a book, and they fought. But that's, and that's what you say. Like, if you look at religions, they're all religions. They say nice, but war is how they spread. That's how they fight. They kill each other and say, you have to believe what I'm saying, or I'm going to kill you. That's how we have
dumb, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like, well, who wins from this? Doesn't it say specifically not to do that? But it doesn't matter. It's just.
It is what it is.
Yeah, and it's just belief. It's belief. There was a really great video I saw where they said, listen, religious people are just nerds that will kill you for not liking the book they like. That's it.
That is so true.
They're just nerds. And it's like, oh yeah, that makes a lot more sense.
And if you listen to them, what they feel is ridiculous at times.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And it's become also a money maker. That's the other part, which people are not understanding.
Yes.
It's not about true faith or true religion, or at least having some concentration to believe something at peace. It's also become a money maker for so many.
Oh, because that's really what it is. I always tell people there's this church.
Yes.
I do tech work, so I was doing IT work for this church in Indiana, and they are the church that Michael Jackson's family goes to.
Oh, wow.
They are in a stadium the size of a Costco.
Oh,
it's so huge. Thousands and thousands of people. And they have their own Starbucks inside the church. And the pastor sells water that he blessed for $50 a bottle. Right? Yeah. And they're all about that. Just give to me and God will give you whatever you need. It's that, what's it called? Prosperity gospel.
It's the same in India. When I go to the temples, the Hindu temples, the priest will come, oh, you donate, you give this, give that. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
First of all, don't ask me. If I'm going to give, I want to give it because I believe.
Exactly.
Or I truly just want to give.
Yeah.
Not because you're forcing me to give and telling me to give and all. Right. It's just so everything has become so commercial. That is also.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's. No. Now I do have a question because I saw this video. Is it true as Uber drivers? When I saw it day before yesterday on, I think it was on Facebook or something. Are they really not paying you guys? Are they cheating all the drivers and all? Because there was a big thing about this suddenly, and I did not know this.
I'll have to check. I honestly have no idea.
Because they were talking about the tips that the customers put and all, and then someone on the video advised customers to, when you order Uber, to tell them to cancel it, and then,
pay direct.
Yeah, pay. I mean, is the Uber company actually cheating people, or the drivers, or whatever else?
Yeah, I haven't looked at the exact numbers of it, but we can go over it. So essentially, from what I see on the breakdown, they take about 40 to 50% of what's charged. So for this ride, they said they're gonna pay me $23.
Okay.
How much did they charge you?
They charged $37.35.
Okay, so they took about 40%, right? Which sounds about 40% of the overall cost. So to me, I mean, what did they do? They say they connected you and they provide the GPS. Okay. I could have GPS to myself. So is that worth 40% of the overall ride? I don't think so.
Oh wow.
Right? I think they're honest about tips. They do give you 100% of the tips.
They do.
Okay. So that I think is fine. But I think people think it's a ripoff. And I am seeing there's a company that's trying to start in Michigan, and they want to be a driver-owned app for this. And say the drivers own the app, we're the drivers, we're the ones behind, so it's for us, for servicing us.
Okay.
And I think they'll get more of a proportion, and I think they want to do benefits, they want to pay for cars, stuff like that. And that, to me, that makes a lot of sense. I do Uber.
Okay.
Because I'm a comedian. I work from home. I work in tech.
Oh, wow.
So, I like these conversations.
Yes.
I was going to tell you about, I have a show. It's called Getting in Cars with Strangers.
Wow. Okay.
I blur out the face here so you don't know who I'm talking to.
Yes.
And it's just a conversation. That's what I love to do. So I'm not really doing this for the money.
Yeah, true.
So I don't pay that much attention to it. But I think people that are really trying to survive and trying to make a lot of money, then it's
is it worth the wear and tear on your cars? That's what I'm just curious now.
Potentially, I think I will say on average I make about $25 an hour.
Okay.
Which is better, I think, than average.
Yeah.
But once you factor in the wear and tear on the vehicle, you have to pay for the gas, you factor in all that stuff, it's not paid for on the thing.
Okay.
Then it ends up being, a lot of your profit, a lot of your money goes into the car.
I see.
So then it's a question of, is it profitable? You could probably make maybe a little more money doing something else easy, but it's 50.
Do you enjoy it though, as far as?
But see, that's the thing. I love it. I've been doing this. I've been doing this for years. I started.
You have?
In 2017. Yeah, 2017.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I took all of the pandemic off because I have a daughter. I didn't want her to get sick, so I didn't do it then. But I do. I enjoy it. I like the conversations. I like talking to people. I also like just driving new places I've never been. And kind of like a lot of what you do. Go somewhere I've never been and explore. And I'll often just kind of pull over in a place I've never been, turn off the app and go get lunch or something. Okay. And I'll find a new restaurant. I'm a foodie, if you can't tell. I love it. So that's what I like. Okay. So it makes sense to me.
So are you ever on the flip side, are you ever afraid of any passengers like you see on YouTube or?
Sure, I haven't had it come up.
Okay.
Yeah, I haven't. But I'll tell you the two things is I don't drive after 10 or 10:30.
Okay.
Because I do record, so I want the video to look good, right? True. That's one thing. But then also I know after 10:30, you get a lot of drunk people, a lot of people you don't want to be driving around. So I understand that. Same thing, South Side Chicago. Yes. You don't want to be there after sundown. So I usually stop driving by then, but that's just for my own personal reason.
Yes.
In the thousands of rides I've given, I haven't felt unsafe at any time. I just haven't. But also, I'm 6'3". Okay. You know what I mean? I'm a big guy. Yeah. You know, so most people aren't going to want to. So it just depends. It just depends.
That is true.
I would say it's safe. I would say for the most part. But like you said, there's horror stories. There's always horror stories. But again, there's horror stories about people just driving on the way.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? So it's just, what are the odds? Turns out humans all have good and bad in them. And sometimes people have a bad day. Sometimes people are desperate. Unfortunately, Chicago has a lot of desperation due to the poverty levels.
Yeah, it has become, 2 years ago, our younger brother was murdered.
Oh, no.
And he was carjacked, and they killed him when he was visiting. Well, he wasn't living in Chicago after college. He moved, and it was during the holidays. So now I look at this place a lot more different than I used to.
Yeah.
I keep telling my parents I do not want to live here anymore.
Sure. Okay.
But of course, you know, they all want us to be close now, even closer.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I keep telling my parents, no, I have to get out of it, because every time I come back to Chicago, even, it sounds so silly, but when I fly in back, you know, from doing a trip, I'm miserable coming here, because it's just, you know, knowing what happened. And then you hear it all the time. And it has nothing to do with my brother's demise. It's the fact that even before that, you're hearing so much crime here has risen. The taxes are so high suddenly. And it's just, I don't know. But they're like, no, you know, stay nearby.
Sure, they want you close.
They really do want all of us closer now.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry to hear about your brother.
It's really. But it was, and the sad part, it was on video. They found it on, you know, and my, so he gave the individuals his keys, his wallet, everything.
Yeah.
And yet it was a lady who shot him in the head.
Wow.
And then the guys, you know, they were surrounding him. And then about 3 weeks, or was it 3 weeks? Yeah, it was about 3 weeks later, they found his car in the suburbs.
Okay.
And nothing was taken. His wallet was on the seat, the keys, his credit cards, cash, every single thing.
They took nothing?
They didn't take anything. And then the homicide detectives, they had mentioned, which I never heard of till this, they had told us they think it was a gang initiation. You know, go kill someone to show your loyalty or something. I had never heard of any of this before this happened. And, but it was insane. I was like, wow.
Wild. Yeah, and you said it was on video?
Yeah, because they carjacked him in Oak Brook.
Oak Brook, okay.
And it was at an intersection.
Oh, wow.
So at that intersection, which also was crazy, because we're thinking, you know, Oak Brook is not some quiet place. You know?
It's yuppie, very, very,
But it was because it's holidays, it was at night, and it happened in an intersection at the red light or whatever. And so they had the cameras, you know, the video.
Oh, the camera.
Yeah.
Sure.
But they still haven't caught the people because it's grainy still. But you can see what was going on.
Oh, no. Wow.
So it's definitely...
That's nuts. Yeah, or, you know, they sometimes they carjack and then they use that car to commit another crime and then toss the car as well.
That's insane.
That's really unfortunate. It's just bad place, bad time. That's just so sad. Yeah. And so you kind of want, I can understand.
I definitely don't want to. I want to sell my home and be like, I'm out of here. I keep telling them that every freaking time. And my parents are like, no. And they're a lot more worried about me, too, because the fact that in our family, obviously, I'm the only one who's gay, and so they are so scared of that, too. Like, someone's going to hurt. And I'm like, Mom, Dad, no one's going to do it, you know, don't worry. And I feel like this, I will never stop living my life out of fear.
Good, that's great.
You know, that's how I feel like I'm never going to just stop living life because, you know, it's just like when I travel, a lot of my friends... When I'm going out just to go somewhere, I love our flight benefits, so I leave somewhere all the time on my days off or something.
Yeah.
And I've gone to all the countries where all my friends will be like, "Oh my God, no! You know, they don't like Americans, or it's, you know, it's such a scary location." Right. Every country that everyone has talked bad about, they are the nicest people.
Sure.
And I just feel like, you know, the policy or philosophy, to me at least, is this: hey, just know their laws, respect whatever, and move on, you know.
And I've often said a lot of people visiting Chicago, you know, I talk to because I do this, and I say, listen, there's two Chicagos. There's the Chicago you see on the TV, on the news, and then there's the Chicago you're going to get from the people you talk to. And the people are going to give you a completely different experience because most people are friendly. Most people want to talk. Most people want to hang out. They want to be kind and considerate, and they want to have a good time. They don't want to be the reason someone has a bad day. And so that's how most people actually are. But you'll get a viewpoint of it based on media. And
unfortunately, a lot of people do think that too. Yeah.
And I've talked to people that are visiting America, not just Chicago.
Yes.
And they think they have to wear a bulletproof vest to walk around America.
Yes.
You know, and I'm like, no, it's not.
It's not everything like that.
Yeah. And once I realized that, it's like, and doing this has really shown me. Like, I talk to people from all over, and it's like everybody's the same. Like, you talk, you have a good conversation, you get to know people, and most people are here to just go about their day, live their life. You know, they got to put roof over their head, they gotta eat. That's it. That's people.
So do you do stand-up comedy? Or
I do.
Where at?
So nowhere big. I just kind of do open mics around Chicago. I don't have any big venues. Okay. The thing I really love is, like I said, I do this show, so I want to do improv to like make these conversations more fun and more funny. And that's the stuff I really enjoy. But if you want to follow me on YouTube,
I definitely do.
Yeah, on YouTube, it's just in all one word, Getting in Cars with Strangers.
Getting in Cars with Strangers.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I have and when I do stand up, if I'm doing anything, I'll put it up there.
Okay.
Yeah.
I definitely would like to follow and see.
Awesome. Well, thanks. Yeah.
Nice chatting with you.
It was
Thank
great.
you so much.
Yeah,
Thank you for educating me as well.
I'm happy to help. I'm so glad I was able to. And this was a great conversation, so I can't wait to put it up. I update every Tuesday and Friday.
Okay.
So 2 times a week. So you'll see, you'll recognize your voice.
Okay. Absolutely. Right. Thank you so
much. This was
much.
Great talking. Thank you
Have
so
a great
much.
day.
You too.
Be safe.
Thanks. All right. You're welcome. Have a great one.
You too.
Thanks.
And all the best, by the way.
Oh, thank you.